One of the most common problems with outdoor scenes is the sky. Either the location or time of day you're shooting lacks the drama your film calls for, or your camera and lighting gear simply lack the dynamic range to capture your foreground subjects without blowing out the sky behind them. The good news is, as far as visual effects go, sky replacement isn't all that hard once you know how, and we're about to show you. Unless you're shooting with a lockdown camera fixed to a tripod, and let's face it, that's usually a pretty boring shot, there are two steps to the process: camera tracking and match moving the new sky to your camera move, and then comping or compositing the tracked sky into your shot. We'll be comping using node-based compositing techniques, so be sure to watch our Introduction to Node-Based Compositing and Fusion videos if you're new to the concept. Let's start with the tracking. In our videos on shooting visual effects, we introduced the concept of 3D tracking, the foundation of much modern visual effects work. Let's continue where those videos left off. We'll start by working with the farmyard footage after it's had the rolling shutter artifact removed, thanks to After Effects' Rolling Shutter Repair tool. First step is to remove the lens distortion. From our shooting visual effects video, we established the value to be around 20.5, so we'll apply optics compensation and adjust accordingly. Go back and review those videos if you need to refresh your understanding. We'll now pre-compose the undistorted footage ready for tracking. Any good camera tracker will be able to determine the scene camera's focal length with good enough data, but the more information you can give it to get going, the better the results will be. We happen to know that this shoot was filmed with a zoom lens set to a 17mm focal length, and that the sensor size was 15.81mm by 8.88mm. You can easily find the sensor size values for your camera on the web. Just be careful when working with DSLRs to find the portion of the sensor used in video mode, which will likely be a different width and height to still photography mode. After Effects asks for the horizontal field of view of the lens rather than focal length in millimeters. So, unfortunately, we'll have to do a little conversion using the formula field of view equals 2 times the arctangent of W over F, where W is half the width of the sensor and F is the focal length. So in our case, we take the
Sensor width of 15.81, divide by 2, then divide by 17,
Then, using a scientific calculator, take the arctan and finally multiply by 2.
we get the resulting FOV of 49.88 after a little rounding. Confused? Well, it's easier to just use After Effects to do the math for you. To do so, we'll start to create a camera in After Effects. Enter the width of the sensor, and then your focal length. After Effects automatically provides the resulting horizontal angle of view. Click in the field for a more precise value. Jot it down on a piece of paper, and then cancel the creation of the camera. Returning to the camera tracker, tell After Effects you want to specify the angle of view, enter the angle you just wrote down, and After Effects will resolve the scene with hopefully a more accurate result thanks to your provided field of view. Now click Create Camera to generate a virtual 3D camera that in theory matches the real-world camera that filmed your scene in the first place. Okay, time to add our blue sky. If we drag the blue sky image into the timeline and click its 3D layer toggle, we now have the sky as a layer in our composition. Playing back, we can see that while the sky is responding to the camera's movement, it appears to be a postcard extremely close to camera rather than an actual skyline. After Effects has no understanding of the true scale of the scene it just tracked, so the scale of things is all relative. Since the sky is obviously a long way off in the distance, we need to set the layer's distance value to something extremely large. In our case, we'll use the value of 1 million, but your mileage may vary. It's now far away, but really small. So to compensate, we'll scale it back up to fill the screen. And that's it. We now have a sky that moves with the camera as if it really was the sky on the day of the shoot. Now, we're going to render out our clouds and complete the composite inside of Fusion. But to confirm that everything's working first, you can temporarily drag the blue sky layer below the farm footage and set the farm footage blend mode to darken. It ain't pretty, but at least it proves things are working. When you're done checking, disable the farm layer and render out the moving clouds as a QuickTime clip or image sequence.